play that Saric did play.
Got a little run there, huh?
Yeah. With more on the goings-on of the Sacramento Kings. Nice enough to join us. He's been covering the Kings forever. Photojournalist, reporter, author. Tony Ray Harvey back with us. Thanks, Tony, for joining us, and happy holidays. How are you?
What's happening? Holiday cheers to both of you, Jay and Kevin. How y'all doing, man?
We're doing fine. We're doing better than your Kings are doing right now, Tone. Well, tough one last night.
God.
Did they get robbed by the officials in your view last night?
Kevin, they got robbed. I know you guys talked about the 2-minute report. I'm going to call it the 2-second report. They got robbed. All right. I don't want to hear that mess. I knew it was going to be that way. I didn't care one way or the other whether, they were going to correct it or they were going to, go along with the call. Of course, they went along with the call. It makes no difference because, the Kings lost the game unless you're going to go back and say, oh, yeah, we're going to get it win to the Sacramento Kings. But we know that's not going to happen, But I don't care what he needs to say. But it was a valiant effort, by the Kings last night, coming back down for that many points, 15 minutes in the last less than 3 minutes and, trying to pull that thing out and see him with DeMar DeRozan still had a lot in the tank to offer. You could just see the tiger in his eye that he wanted to, will that win, for the Kings and Maxime Reynaud, what he's doing. Just a great effort. But I really do think that, they got thwarted for that win. That victory was theirs because they wanted it so bad, as you can see. It's got kind of strange, too, because I was just thinking about this. It seemed like every time they go up there, something's going on. Remember a couple seasons ago when Mike Brown was still the coach, they get beat by a bunch of G Leaguers or some people we did not even know, Doo-Wop, Reef, and all that type of things. Kings haven't won up there forever, and I don't think the Trailblazers has won and go to one center for, a few games too. But it will be pretty interesting to see what happens on Tuesday when they go at it again. I mean, Saturday when they go at it again.
Yeah. Tone, is there I guess a light at the end of the tunnel for yesterday's game, even though they walked away with the loss? They tallied up the loss column. Did you see anything that you can take from, albeit, 6 and something team here? Anything you saw in the positive last night?
Well, it seemed like they slowly ushering in the youth movement, the way things are being done. I know Mac's been playing for quite some time. Right now he's averaging 9 points, 5 rebounds a game through 19 games. Had a big game last night, with 29 points. Dylan Caldwell comes up, from the little club, Stockton Kings, and he actually, to me, looked like a whole new different person, especially on the offensive end. He didn't have a clue in the first few games of the season, but it seemed like he's getting it together. There's still some development there. And, of course, Neek, I think he's still going to get there. He's all he needs is minutes and time out on the floor, work through his mistakes, and he'll get it right, and hopefully he'll start knocking down this three. But, considering, with the change and Malik not playing or not, it's just like what Doug was talking about, the other day, about 2 practices ago. I think it was Tuesday when they had practice, when he was told us, how they was going to be working these younger players in, into the fold. And tonight seemed like that was a really good sign, really good positive sign that I could take away, Jay.
Yeah, Tony Ray Harvey, nice enough to join us. I'm glad you mentioned Dylan Caldwell, Tone, because I don't think his name has come up yet. I don't think Jay and I had mentioned him yet. And he had a really solid game. He's 3 for 3. He had 7 rebounds. And as you said, just looked like he felt like he belonged. And that's the type of player he's probably never going to be. He might not be a starter or a star, but the little things that he did, physicality, taking advantage of opportunities when he's unguarded. I mean, there's definitely a room on this team and in the league for a guy like that. And it looks like he's ahead of schedule.
Yeah, yes. I know, early in the season, I wanted him to stay up with the big club before they sent him back down to Stockton. But, where the fans were like, no, he's not ready. Well, the fans, what they were telling me, they were right. He needs to go down there and figure out some things like that. And I think these coaches has been working with him, especially on that offensive end. I think he had a little hook shot or semi-half hook shot there that he got. And he made his first 2 free throws, and he's not a free throw shooter. He just looked really effective and aggressive, around that basket on the offensive end. We know what he can do on the defensive end too. I mean, he was out there setting hard screens on people, making them, the Trailblazers, feel him.
Yeah.
I really like the young man.
Yeah, and 3 blocked shots last night. And maybe, he is the type of center who could play if he's on a team where you have a bunch of guys that are shooters and you don't need much offense from your center. He could fit in that way. But, of course, we're still figuring all this out. But he and Maxime Reynaud played very well last night, Jay. Very well.
I have to say this, though. Him playing in Auburn for 4 or 5 seasons and him coming off the bench, he always knew his role. And I think that's what he's kind of got acclimated here, playing it. And I think Doug, head coach Doug Christie has recognized that too. He always knows his role. He's not coming in here to score 10, 15 points. You may not grab 10, 11 rebounds, but with the little minutes that you have, just make the best of it, and seize every opportunity that you have. And Dylan Cardwell, he has been doing that. So I'm liking that. I don't think it's going to change, once Domantas Sabonis come back, but he's going to be a real great addition to this team if they hold on to him.
Yeah.
Tony, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I know as a highly trained professional, you'll answer the way that you want to, but we were just talking about the conversation of Malik Monk and the DNCP. Anything from it? Not playing, didn't get a minute.
I've been trying to find out as much information that I can, Jay. Ever since that, at least when that first half, like, wow, something's missing here. Oh, yeah, Malik hasn't touched the floor yet. So I'm like, what's going on here? And then, after the game, I heard Jason Anderson, from the beat, asking Doug about the questions and, the log jam thing, response came back up and and then I know you guys, have been talking about, one of your colleagues had mentioned something like it very well could be that he might be on his way out the door. His name has been in all these type of trade talks, though. But, I hope they don't do it. But there's going to be some changes here. I mean, we're right here in that, in that block, in that season, of trading, and they have to work some things. There's going to be some decision that I know General Manager Scott Perry is going to move on, whether we like it or not. But we do want to see some type of change. Malik, he's a good person for this team. Yeah. You ought to hear him in the locker room, boy. He's one of. I don't care where you at in that locker room, you're going to hear Malik Monk's mouth. But I do see a little bit of a sign there. I just can't put my finger on it, and I haven't really touched out and reached out to the right people yet to find out, what the situation is, though. But last night was pretty much every indication that something is going to happen. And I know they kind of went big, with pressure, Achua, starting and things like that. And then Keon, had his moment. He had a great game as well, if you ask me, with the 10 points and the 6 steals. But there seems like they about to ramp this thing up here. And then Malik Monk might be in that mix. Just may be in that mix.
Yeah, pardon me. Tony Ray Harvey, nice enough to join us. How about Keon Ellis? There's a piece today in The Athletic, and one league source, whoever that is, whatever that is quoted as saying he's maybe the most divisive player in the league because you got a lot of people around the league that think he's terrific, and then you've got teams now, and this is his, second year in a row where he's had trouble finding minutes, and there's some disagreement over how good he is defensively. Is he just more suited for creating turnovers? Are there concerns about his size and ability to defend bigger guards? How good is Keon Ellis, and what would it take if you're the Kings for you to move off of him?
I think they kind of go back to last season when, of course, Mike Brown didn't say his name. He's talking about possession after possession after possession. And then, kind of read between the lines, and he's talking about some people gambling on defense, and at times Keon Ellis he's a gambler. Okay, he can overplay his opponent, and his opponents get right by him and make a play, and then Mike's sitting there like, hey, that's not supposed to happen. So maybe that's what this report as far as him being divisive and things like that. He's still learning. He still is. But yeah, there seem. I'm not going to say that there's some cracks in his armor, but you can see these type of things where he can get a little lost too. I mean, and go back to that time when he played against Jaylen Brown in Boston, and he was just getting bounced around like a rag doll. It was nothing nice to see. So, when you get in these type of situations, when he's down there messing around with those threes, those fours, and of course, you're not going to be guarding those five that much. He can get into a situation that can cause him to come out the game, things like that. But I still like the work that he's been doing with the King. Yes, he does gamble a lot. 6 steals last night. And then, Keegan Murray had 4, so they had 10 steals between them. Those are turnovers. Mm-hmm. Those are big. You're making big plays, okay? You're making things happen on the defensive end, and I think that was another part of them getting back in the game, and Keon Ellis was all part of that. But, yeah, he does have some little chinks in that armor somewhere that, that you can cipher out, but he's still serviceable.
Good player.
To any other 29 team in the league.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Tone, you're one of the, if not the only, for the most part, Kings beat reporter that goes to the opposite side of the locker room, in the opponent's locker room after the games, which is spectacular for yourself, and I always try to pay attention to that. Just what's your feeling? What are you getting from these visiting teams when they come here into Sacramento to the G1C? Because you normally hear the prototypical, that's a tough team over there, or, they got hard, or you hear all these different aspects. These adjectives to describe NBA teams. What's your feeling you're getting from some of these visiting teams coming in to play the Kings right now?
I'm glad you asked me that question too, Jay, because, I'm really, adamant and aggressive about, being in the opposing team's presence, whether that's, the coach, because, we get those 15 minutes of media availability before the game and, of course, after the game. And a lot of time what I'm trying to figure out is getting their perspective on what's happening with the Kings, them playing against the Kings, certain plays, certain players, and things like that. And for me, as far as, writing a story, strength is your story, okay? Now, what goes on with everybody else, just focusing on the home team, that's their business. I understand that, with these television people, they got deadlines, they got to be on the air. I respect all that. So I understand that. Sometimes you might only have like one reporter, from that platform. But me, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get, as far as, being fair and balanced and accurate and stuff like that, I want it from both ends because that's what makes the game. That what makes the play. That what makes the story. That what makes the article. I do love, one of the key things is, of course, we talk about all type of players and stuff, is listen to the head coach, because they always have a variety of things like that. Now, you do know that Kyle Draper and Katie Christensen, they're also in those opposing teams' locker room before the game, spaces before the game too, trying to get information for, their program and their broadcast and things like that. That's just journalism to me, Jay. I'm just going to call it what it is. I don't care what you say. You know what I'm saying? I can call out a couple people just being lazy because they think they're reporters.
Don't do that. That's not what I asked for.
I could go there. I'll lay it thick too. I will lay it on thick, brother. But anyway, yeah. But thanks for asking me that question, though, because that's really important too. And also, sometimes he's not always there too. Mike Wagman.
Yeah.
He's been freelancing with a couple other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Same way. We've been doing this for years too. He gets on my nerves sometimes, but I love the guy.
That's because he's from Vallejo, so he knows what he's doing.
He's from Vallejo,
yeah. How about Zach LaVine? Do you think the Kings will be able to move him? Just your best guess. Whether you think they should or shouldn't, or do you think they'll be able to find somebody who will be willing to take him on? Will they find a trade partner for Zach LaVine, in your opinion?
Well, I've been hearing about that one squad, 90 minutes from downtown Chicago, Milwaukee. That name keeps coming up, keeps popping up. So whatever interest that they have in him, maybe, that's a landing spot for him, if that happened. I know with that, his contract, he still has a great amount of money left on that contract for the next 2 seasons, and he can, opt in for next season's things like that. That could be a hampering problem, but that would all come down to the decision of Scott Perry. If there's a deal out there, he's going to take it. I heard him talk to you, Jay and Kayla last week. He's like, I'm not trying to be out here and trying to get fleeced or anything like that. It's what they're going to be sending back. If anything is going to be sent back that is comparable to what he wants to do and what it fit Zach LaVine, I think he can be moved to a place like Milwaukee. So I'm not counting that out as well, though. But Milwaukee seemed like, they could be in the running too. We still got a few more weeks before we able to sort all these things out. So it could be right up on, to the deadline of February the 15th. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. But right now, Zach is still a Sacramento King.
I think, pardon me, Tone, but I think he's a great example. His situation with Milwaukee is a great example of why we just don't know yet, because they're kind of waiting on Giannis. If Giannis leaves, I don't think they want Zach LaVine. But if Giannis is like, yeah, let's go. I mean, Zach LaVine with his outside shooting would be a really nice compliment to Giannis. So, their interest will probably hinge to a large degree of what Giannis wants to do, and they have to wait and see what he wants to do before they make any decision.
Yeah, that's a strange situation as it is, too. I mean, he just came out and spoke about, him and his agent, whatever. He hasn't been part of the talks. He is part of the talks. I don't know, but everything really does hinge on him and where the Bucks want to go. But it's just a strange thing. Giannis done brought a championship, to that market. Now he's ready to move on. But no, Kevin, I don't think they can make any type of move until they can really figure out what Giannis wants to do.
Yeah.
Tony, you got that Sac State sweatshirt on. I see you repping your green, man. What's your take on Coach Alonzo Carter? As he said, it's Zoe time.
Yeah, it's Zoe time. I heard his press conference. I wasn't able to attend yesterday morning, but I heard his press conference, and he sounded a little bit more different than all these other coaches that came here within any sports of how he wants to do things. Okay, he's coming in, of course, with the winning attitude and things like that, but he's coming in like, I've already won. All I just need is, a football team to carry me over, the finish line, and the staff to carry me over the finish line, because obviously he got the support. He's well known in his community, well known in Northern California, including the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. I think there could be some success here, with him and with his connections. And he just seems like that's the type of character that they need right now. The top of my list that I like what he said, he's here. This is not going to be a stepping stone and then, 1 season, 2 seasons, and I'm moving on. He's, digging in his stakes, and he really want to establish a program. Now, this just come from me, the Hornets right now, Sac State is a football team. They haven't elevated to, a program at this time. But I do think, we'll see that this guy can lead them in that type of direction too. So they could be a winning program and a winning known program across the country.
Mm-hmm. Tone, it sounds like, maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're suggesting he may be better for this situation than even his predecessor was. Am I understanding you right, or am I maybe projecting there?
Yeah. But what I'm finding out too, about Brendan Marion, he moved on. He got a substantial amount of money. I would have took that too.
Yeah, I know.
I would have left out. Hey, hey, thank you for the opportunity, but I gotta go.
Yeah,
I got to move on, man.
I understand.
But it was all about the money on that one. You don't. No. See ya.